Hey guys, Eric here out at the Bethlehem Golf Club. In today's video, we're gonna talk about why you should straighten your right leg during the backswing. You're gonna love this video. We have a special guest for you in just a moment. But before we get to that, quick word from today's video sponsor. Hey guys, we'd like to thank our partners at Municipal. Awesome clothing, super comfortable, can wear everywhere. I'm wearing Municipal whether I'm at home doing our swing reviews, whether I'm at the golf course doing videos, hanging out at home, out to eat. You've seen some of the shirts that I'm wearing. I got the polos on here. They fit super nice. They're breathable. The Municipal hats that I like the white, gray, and black, but they have all kinds of different colors and patterns that fit super well. Would highly recommend. So we're super pumped to be partners now with Municipal. We can bring you them, show you their stuff. We're gonna put a code down below, Eric20. We'll put all that in the description down below. Would highly recommend you guys go check them out. All right guys, so we have a great video for you in store on why you should straighten your right leg during the backswing. Go over some simple concepts, maybe add some layers of detail. To my right, again, the man, no introduction, but I will, Tom Saguto. If you guys haven't seen Tom's channel, we're gonna put the link in the description. I know you have already, but in case you haven't, he's got awesome videos. We'll put that down below to go check out. Mr. Saguto, thanks for being here, my friend.
Eric, thanks for having me on the show, and
appreciate
to your
it.
viewers, hello out there.
Yes,
Excited
and welcome.
to be here.
So Tom, the right leg in the swing, now this was sort of born of us having a conversation about, and I would assume it's the same for you. I get asked all the time, and there's some uncertainty about it, should I or should I not straighten the right leg during the backswing?
Right.
And so we decided to say, this is why you should. And so why don't we tell the people why we should straighten the right leg and kind of what goes along with that, if you would, please.
So I've got 3 good reasons for you to straighten the right leg in the backswing. 1, you're gonna be more consistent. 2, more powerful. 3, you're gonna prevent injury. The swing's gonna feel effortless and buttery smooth.
Healthy, consistent, powerful.
What else do you want in your life?
I like
that. It's like eating garlic. It's good for you.
That's good, I like that.
Right? So the idea is that if we straighten the right leg, I'll be more consistent, because in the golf swing, if I want to be consistent, which you all do, we need to maintain a centered swing, meaning not a whole lot of shifting and swing. My contact point on the ground should be in the same spot every time with this club, right here. Hit the ground the same spot every time. The way I do that, I stay centered. I can't do that if I shift or sway. So I can, but it takes a lot of timing, right? If I shift back one way, I gotta shift back the other way.
A lot harder.
Moving target, tough to do in a game where you're hitting a ball at 1 millisecond in time with the 3-foot stick. So, to be consistent, we straighten the right leg, the trail leg. And as I'm straightening this leg, it allows the hips to turn, or I like to say swivel. I feel like you put WD-40 on those hips, they swivel, they turn, and it keeps the shoulders and hips stacked over each other so you're centered. So you're going to be consistent. The club's gonna go in the ground the same spot every time. Power, next piece. If you want to have a powerful golf swing, you need to have the hands going inward, so not so much lifting. If we get the right leg straightening, the hands are allowed to travel inward, which you store power on an arc. Like a football kicker, they always approach from an angle. You kick the ball so much further from an angle. Now, I'm not a kicker, obviously that was probably a bad kick, but
well, you looked okay.
Inward to out, right?
Yeah.
So there's the power component. Turn my hips, got more shoulder turn, and I've got more depth. If you can't get any shoulder turn, most people, when they start straightening the right leg, they say, whoa, I'm in uncharted territory here. I haven't felt this in years. And they got 90 degrees of shoulder turn because they turned their hips 45. Magical. And then the last piece is the effortless. Meaning if I'm straightening the trail leg, I'm not placing any stress on the knee. I'm not placing any stress on the lower back. So if you're wondering out there why you're taking 2 or 3 a leave at the end of your golf round, check your right leg. I guarantee you, 99% of the time when I teach a senior golfer who's had a lot of back pain for 30 years playing golf, they're flexing their knee. Once you get that knee freed up, whoop, they're like, huh, I feel like I'm young again. So it's magical. This is probably one of the best things you can do for the golf swing.
So let's say if you take your setup, Tom, like a couple of simple things first. When you take your setup position, your right leg has some amount of bend.
Correct.
Right? Let's say it's roughly bent kind of over the edge of your shoelaces, right?
Right, right.
Now, when you're straightening it during the backswing, is it progressive? Is it right away, earlier, later? Like, how do we do the timing of it?
So the trail leg, the right leg, should always straighten gradually. It's not all at once, and it's not all flexed. So as I swing back, the right leg is allowed to straighten. I say allowed because you shouldn't focus on flexing it. You should let it go, like that Frozen song, just let it go. You're taking it back, and that trail leg's allowed to straighten, just like that. Now, if you haven't felt this, you might have to force it some.
Yeah.
That's a good pointer for someone who's been flexing for a long time. So I like to feel I'm allowing it. The simple action of my shoulders turning helps the hips to propel around, which straightens the trail leg, or the right leg.
And so if you take your setup again, Tom, when we straighten the right leg on the way back, we're saying that helps turn the hips more.
Exactly.
Which helps turn the torso more, which helps get the arms, hand, club more up and in. The butt of the club's farther from the ball, more power. And then that also helps with swinging from inside, right?
Oh, 100%. One of the easiest ways to swing into out or get the right downswing, the right downswing path. The club's behind you, and I've created that depth early on. So I'm really presetting a good downswing. I'm here, I'm back to the ball. It's very difficult to go from here and then I got to do some crazy things to go over from there. So I'm presetting a really efficient downswing. Look at that.
So we get the inside path, we get the power, and then if we take our setup one more time, in terms of like the amount of bend, just to see if you, this, what I would say to someone is, let's just say again, it starts over the edge of the shoelaces. Let's say it's 25 degrees bent. By the time we get to the top, we're not saying, hey, your right leg doesn't need to be locked out. Maybe at the top it's like 10 degrees bent, right? So it's lost some flex, it's straightening the whole time. And then when we do that, let's take our setup one more time, Tom. Can you show us the bad version? Like if I kept that right leg too bent, what would that look like and what would happen?
And so if I keep the right leg too bent, what happens is, one, I'm getting a lot of restriction and resistance in my knee here.
Yeah.
And I could only take the club back to about the takeaway where the club's parallel with the ground. If I maintain this same flex, something's got to give. So my body is going to find a way to take the club back further, and the way it does that is either you'll see a sway, or you'll see a breakdown of the arms, or a combination of both. So how many people behind me are doing that right now in the driving range? I'm not going to look because I'll be scared to look, but it's probably a good chunk. Seeing this is very common due to the flexing of the knee. It really just sets up two different golf swings.
It's huge. If you take your step one more time, Tom. So when we make the backswing for someone to feel that, if we keep the knee too bent, let's do the bad version again, exactly what you said. We say this all the time. The hips generally sway too much to the right. There's no turn. There's a lack of turn of torso. And then there's going to be some overfolding of the arms, wrists, hands. You can relax. I see players come in all the time. They're like, hey, how do I fix my arms bending too much? Like, well, it starts with your leg action, right, during the backswing. And so what we want to have happen when you're doing that trail leg straightening, right, your right hip turns up and back behind you. And it also adds a little bit of hip slant, right? We should see that right hip a little higher than the left when we go back. That's all good. That's all proper for us to do the downswing pieces.
Oh, yeah.
And I would just add in for a lot of people, you know, Tom mentioned the backswing length piece. One of the easiest things you can do, especially as you get older, to increase the length of your backswing, to increase the power and to increase your ability to turn is get this trail leg, and it starts with the foot and the knee. So just a little tidbit added, Tom's foot is flared out to where his foot points, if the ball is 12 o'clock, kind of at like 1:30. His kneecap also points relatively on that same line. And for a lot of people, like duck your foot in like towards me, like bad way. The more this foot gets ducked in, the harder this piece is gonna be. If you flare that out a little bit, Tom, let the foot and the kneecap go along with it. That would be like a thing you can do beforehand at setup to start the process of making that hip turn up and back.
And this is one of the big keys. It starts with the feet, really. When I'm like this, I call it the inward facing knees.
Yeah.
The knee knocking setup.
All the time.
And from here, I really can't turn my hips. There's so much tension, I'm bound up. But doing this, I've bowed out, which leads to freedom.
Yeah, exactly.
And then if you wanted to hit the ball really far, you need more shoulder turn. And the way you do that is you allow for the most straightening. Now, if I want to hit the ball the farthest, I would allow for the most turn of the hips to get the most shoulder turn. So I could technically, with this 8-iron, swing it back here on a normal swing. But if I wanted to really juice one, I would allow for the most straightening which allows for the most shoulder turn. So I can actually do that while staying centered. I feel really, really powerful from there.
And one of the things we talked about off camera was before the era where the keeping the right leg bent got really popular, if you look at old time players like a Sam Snead, like an Arnold Palmer, right? Like a Johnny Miller, Jack Nicklaus, a lot of them had a lot of straightening. I think it became popular, the idea of bracing the leg, right, for various reasons. But go back and look, like check out those players for yourself. I think a lot of people are afraid of the idea of straightening the right leg, and we're kind of here to tell you that you shouldn't be afraid of it. In fact, there's a lot of benefits of it. It should straighten gradually, Tom, right? We have all those reasons for us to do it. And I think like Tom said, if you're used to having the right leg too bent, don't be afraid to actively not only allow it to straighten, but they might feel that straightening, right? Like I know for me, that right leg, for me, I had to feel like my kneecap was going back and my right hip was going up and back a lot more than I thought when we first started. So
Right.
I think that's pretty good. I don't know if you have any other pieces, but in terms of the trail leg during the backswing.
I think that's fantastic. There's one other thing that I wanted to add, and that thought just escaped my memory, unfortunately. Maybe
We'll put it in the comments down below.
Right?
Put in the comments down below. I think power, swinging the club from inside, allowing it to progressively straighten. Record your swing so you can see it, right? If you want more information about things like this, like I said, Tom's got an awesome channel. We'll put his link in the description down below. If you want more info on this, we'll put a card on the screen, similar style video, Cogorno Golf, where you can always go, and Saguto Golf.
Dude, it just hit me.
We'll do a double plug.
It just hit me.
You want to do a 30-second version?
Yeah, just like,
go ahead.
See space in the knees. That was what I want to say.
Oh,
Make
okay.
sure that you see space here. If you don't see space, you're not turning.
No space, you didn't do it enough.
You didn't do it enough.
Okay.
You got to see space.
SagutoGolf.com, SagutoGolf.com, SagutoGolf.com. Thank you guys for watching.
Thanks so
buddy.
much, Eric.
Appreciate it. Thanks.